You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. With me always, my good friend
Shannon G and Mesa AZ.
And once again, we'd like to welcome you to this week's episode. We've got Shannon back in the studio after the Big Jolt. We kind of let him get back. We've got this episode, once again, is brought to you by Gwillikers, Aero Accessories. And he's done a great job with that, and you were able to kind of use some of those on the trip, so that's going to be good. We're going to hear from that, and just got off the phone with Jay, and he's settling into his new place, so hopefully he'll be back with us on the next episode, and we can release his information where he actually is here in this world, and he's getting excited. He tried to get everything put together for this episode, but the internet's not connected yet, so he's got to wait another day or two before it gets connected. So he's like, I'll be ready next time around.
And next week's guest is
right,
Jay.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I told him. I was like, well, we could call you on the phone, but I'd have to figure out how to get it to work. And it was just I'm on a short leash, so I told him, I was like, yeah, I only got a little bit of time, and I got to head back out to work. So, but anyway, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. We'd love to have you join our YouTube page and give us a thumbs up or like, subscribe. And if you're on the Facebook, you could do the Park Flyer Podcast listeners group. And we're slowly closing in on 100,000 downloads. So I'm pretty excited when that's going to happen, probably by the end of the summer. So
nice.
We'll be good there. Yeah.
Gwillikers.
I know, Gwillikers. So. Having said all that, let's. Speaking of that, the Gwillikers, how did it work for you? Because you took it all the way to the Big Jolt.
Yeah. So the trailer that we use, my friend Matt's, he has these big shelves, and so we're always kind of we had a lot of stuff. Obviously, we limited ourselves to about three or four planes each, but they're all good sized planes now. And I took the T-28 because it's like everybody's got T-28s at these events. We fly them in a gaggle or whatever. It's just easy plane to fly. So that cradle, the one that you had already used, that thing fit that thing perfectly. It held it in place. Things
Excellent.
were moving around, and that didn't move an inch. So thumbs up.
Yeah,
and,
I definitely liked it myself.
And I don't know if my cohorts on that podcast, Craig and Matt, were both saying, we've got the smaller EDFs that if they downsize that big cradle for the smaller sizes, I bet he'd sell a bunch. I get a couple gone for sure. So
yeah,
definitely.
Well, maybe we can we'll reach out to him and work with him, see what the story is with that, because I've got a few as well, and I just use that pink foam, but this would be way better.
Oh yeah, especially for going to events like this and traveling just back and forth to the field, because the big thing is that you get dinged up in the foam, and you're touching up paint or spackling or whatever, and it's nice because as much as we love our the big giant jets, not all else can afford the big ones, but these little ones are just as important to me as your big giant.
That's true too.
Baja and
no doubt. Well, and they get just as dinged up. I mean, it's there is a little bit of hanger rash that is involved in all of that stuff. It's not on my table. It's actually outside. I was going to move it in, but I just didn't have time. But Scott Berryman sent his big F-86 Sabre jet, and it's sitting in my third car garage, so it's in this cradle one. It was going to be I was going to move it here, but it's pretty big, and I didn't want to wrestle around with it with short notice. So, but I got to start looking it over, and it's almost ready to fly. I just have to kind of start putting it together and putting the receiver and stuff in it. So we're pretty excited about that. Yeah. So now it's arrived. Now, did the strap covers work for you as well? You use those?
I didn't use the strap covers yet, so I don't have anything I've got like hanging that doesn't have a strap already, because the straps I'm using in my workshop for most of my planes are like the padded ones already, like they're Velcro with padding. But I have a couple that I'm going to swap out. I've got some that I've got bungees on. I'm like, I gotta put those on there. So I just haven't had a chance to get out there and do that. But we went through the Gwillikers, get it up there.
Yep. Gwillikers Aero Accessories. There we go. Yeah. You go to Gwillikers AeroAccessories.com. or you can email Gary at gwillikers, aeroaccessories.com. Either one of those will get you where you need to be.
That's right.
So,
so there's the rest of the story of Big Jolt.
Yeah.
So after we did that, it was a pretty good day. It got a little breezy in the afternoon. They had the pilots raffle, and it's funny. There's always that one person in a club that wins like a majority of the prizes. And I don't know the guy's name, but I just it was just turned into, and it wasn't even this guy. There was a guy that bought like 1,000 tickets. I don't know if it's but it was a lot, and he couldn't go through them fast enough before as they were calling him to see if he'd won or not. So like there's times where like he's like, oh, they're like, oh, we're gonna call it. No, I found it. It's like okay. But it wasn't that guy. There was another guy. He only bought like a handful of tickets compared to what me and the guys bought, and he won like 3 or 4 of the big things. So. But we gave away a Park Flyer shirt, and they were very grateful for that.
Oh, very good, very good.
We had a lot of people that were really interested. What was going on. We handed out a lot of cards and stickers, so definitely getting the word around. It was a really good experience. And then that Saturday night, we made the long drive up to Agora Hills to watch our good friend Eddie and his band Fast Times play.
Oh, very nice.
So we got in the door, like, he had us on the guest list, and then, we hadn't eaten dinner yet. We're like, okay, we want to eat. And they're like, well, you got to get a table. I go, well, how much is the table? And they're like, well, it's only $5 more than general admission. I'm like, well, fine, just get us a table.
Right.
$5. I'm like, I'm not complaining. And then Craig's just, he's good. He's like, hey, well, we're friends with the band. So they put us like literally up front.
Nice.
We were literally on the opposite side of where Eddie usually is on the stage, but like right on the front corner there. And I forgot my earplugs because that's where all the speakers are. My ears were just ringing.
They were ringing.
Well, and it's to that point where they stop working. Like you hear all the sounds differently because your ears are like just over.
Yeah, they're overstimulated.
Yeah, it's like, okay. But no, it was a great show. We had a good time. A huge crowd. I mean, Eddie's fantastic. His whole band's fantastic.
You weren't sitting down there with your fingers in your ears like this?
Towards the end of the night, I was actually. And I just reordered a new set of earplugs for the next time. I'm like,
no doubt.
You need to have those.
That's funny.
But good show. And we hung out with Eddie for a while there. It's good to see him. And,
very cool.
He's hoping to come over for like a weekend where you just do like some RC stuff.
Yeah, sure.
That and we were going to go fly together at his field, but his field was having the Scale Masters event, so that didn't work out. But we went and hung out with them for a while. We went to the March Air Force Base Museum with Eddie and Carl, a couple of the guys that we're friends with, and they have a really good collection of like the Cold War era stuff, and they've got a few other pre-war and modern stuff, but just and my friend Matt's like, I don't know if I've ever been here before. And the second we pull up, he's like, oh, we came here last time. I'm like, is there a problem? He's, oh no,
yeah, right.
It's like I'd rather go to an air museum twice than work once. So
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so they had a good time there, and then but the really exciting thing was on the way home.
Okay,
so there's this really cool new stop in like the Coachella area, like right as you're getting ready to leave, you get on I-10 heading back to Arizona, kind of the barren lands there for a while. It's called Shelley's, and it's a total ripoff of Buc-ee's, right?
Yeah, sure.
But so we'd stop there on the way there, and then our friend Eddie, his wife's name is Shelley, so they have these little dolls that are like turtles, like it's Shelley the turtle is like their mascot. So we got Shelley a Shelley turtle, and she loved it, so that was cool. But on the way back, we pull in to get gas, and all of a sudden, Craig's like, "Oh, the car's saying it's hot," and we like look underneath, and it's dripping water. Like, oh no! So like, look at the water pump was going. It's like, yeah. So we're like, we're towing a trailer. We're 200 and some miles, 300 and some miles from home. It's like, okay, we're trying to figure out what are we going to do. We went and got some stop leak, and it worked. We actually got across the desert, and we checked it a couple times. Didn't overheat, nothing. Didn't lose any water. Didn't cool anything. Got lucky there, and we're here in the valley. Kind of winding down. We're on the I-10, switching over to the 60, the Broadway curve. And we start feeling a bounce, and
the
trailer tire blue on the right side. So we're like, right on the freeway. So we pull over. Luckily, not too much damage to the trailer. Like the fender was a little loose, which I think it was before, but that tire was destroyed.
It's shredded.
I mean, it was shredded. I got a picture. Maybe I'll send it out to you. But
yeah, sure.
So we called AAA and they came out. But we checked on the planes and there was a few things that moved around. But obviously, the Gwillikers cradle definitely kept my plane in good shape there. So that's
excellent.
That's how that tied in. But we all got home, and it was definitely a fun trip. And I think we represented our Park Flyer podcast well, and our local club here. So it was a good time.
Well, that was awesome.
A few little hiccups, but we got through it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And it was interesting. I like the way that it worked out too. And for the listeners that had listened to it, we actually recorded a pre-show, and then you went because it was just as you were leaving, and then you kind of did the show before, but we weren't quite sure if we could get back to it. It needed to come out that week, and so we wanted to do it kind of like as the show was going, and I like the way it worked. I mean, we kind of put the end of it together, but this here kind of ties it all together and kind of finishes out the story. So it is kind of cool that I did like the way that worked. And so we should probably, look at how to do that at more events. So
definitely
kind of neat. Cause I know there's some of the summertime is kind of not a whole lot going on, I think, but, it's hot for us here, unfortunately. But I think as the fall rolls around, and especially since, our other podcast host is in an area that may be a little bit more active than we are.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get
into summer,
Jay.
So. Yeah, absolutely. And actually I talked to AK Mike as well. And he was headed out to his field for a barbecue, and they just finished up their what's it called? Geotex runway.
Mm-hmm.
It's the little runway that they put down. He said that they had a big. They extended it by like 60 feet, and so I think it was. I want to say it was right around like 350 or something. Between 3 and 350, and then they put another 60 feet on it to make it, I think, closer to 400. And they were wanting to fly, a little bit bigger airplanes on it, and this was, able to get them there. So he said that there were a lot of people out there helping out, and it was a really good club event for them because everybody gets involved, and they're all out there putting the spikes in and everything, and it turned out really, really well. Now they're on a kind of a flat gravel style, runway already, so this just makes it even smoother, and they're not sucking up the rocks into their EDFs and that kind of thing. So, from a turbine perspective, he had asked me, he's like, well, how much room do you need to fly a turbine on, like how big of a runway? And I couldn't remember how big yours is. Ours is like 800 and something feet, and yours is, I think, is pretty close.
Yeah, we're just shy of 800. It's like between it's like 780 or 760.
Yeah, that's what I told him. It was between 6 and 8, somewhere around in there. So I knew it was over 700 feet. But I mean, the EDFs I think are the bigger equation because on the turbines they have brakes. And so that's what I was telling him. I was like, well, if I touch down on the numbers, I can get the thing stopped. But on an EDF, there is no brakes. So, he said they had guys running off the end.
That's not true. I mean, traditionally, yes. But nowadays, so many of the EDFs now are coming with the reverse thrust.
Correct. That is correct.
And the bigger EDFs that are based off of the turbines, they're coming with brakes. I had my L39 brakes.
Yep, that's true too.
I put brakes on the F14 when I had it. Mm-hmm. And so that's... I mean, it's true for like the small guys, but the small guys don't need that big one. It's the bigger jets.
Yeah, the bigger jets.
It's kind of been my F4, the newer F4. It's got the thrust reverse on it, so
just flip it, and throw it out.
So if I guess it's one of those things of what what you're comfortable with and what your club's comfortable with as far as how much runway to put down.
Right. Well, he did say it turned out really well, and they were throwing a barbecue today. I think they were doing some brisket and stuff. He said it was super windy as he was headed out to the field, but he was excited about it. And
I hope he sends us some of the brisket.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I said, I'll stand there where the brisket flies over towards me. So yeah, we were hoping that Buddy sent us something, but I think he's gonna shoot us I told him to send me a picture when he gets out there. At least I can see it and we can post it and let everybody see how it's going. So yeah, and having said all that, if you're at a club and you're a listener, feel free to send us pictures of your club. I think that'd be a great extension. Hear from other people, send us a picture of your club. We can mention your club, and kind of get some interaction there as well. Yeah, help us.
Yeah,
out.
I'd love for us to have like an episode where we had a couple different, club presidents or just somebody representing the club and say, hey, here's what we do, and kind of talk about, have a nice little round table. Because
best practice.
I learn you learn so much when you go to another club. You see what they do. Some things are good, some things are we'll do it the way we've always done it. But I always love to see the way other clubs do their stuff. So
sure.
I would love to encourage anybody with who's part of a club, say, hey, you want to come on and just have a nice little round table and share your experiences. And especially with the way it's getting harder and harder to keep a location or to find a location.
It's true.
Talk about what are you doing to mitigate, what are you doing to kind of make sure you keep your space, or what entities do you work with, county, city, things like that. So that's what I think would be cool to talk about, because I was you remember, it's funny, we were both in the GQF, we just weren't that close. We knew each other, we passed by each other, we flew with each other.
Sure.
And here we are doing the show. But that was a great club. I really missed the GQF because we had a geotex runway at both locations, and we had a nice even though we were like inexpensive covering and stuff, it still worked. Sure. Obviously we didn't have power, but that was nothing. But it was just, you back your car up and you're right there at the flight line. And I don't think we had too many. We had a few minor issues, but nothing major. And it's really a shame we couldn't keep that location.
I know. Yeah, well, that's what you get when you get two entities that are on opposing forces or fighting over it, and the county doesn't want to have anything to do with it. They just said, okay, everybody's done. So
yeah. It's funny. We're driving home. We're driving to and from in California. It's like, oh, that'd be a great spot for an RC field. Oh, that'd be a great spot for an RC field.
Well, exactly. And years ago when Jay and I were traveling together, we just pull over. I mean, we'd see spots out there, and we'd pull over. And there was a dry lake bed, I think, on our way one time. We stopped, pull off the exit, got our stuff out, and flew all day. Just out there in the middle of nowhere. And it was so much fun.
There's a Chirico Summit. It's kind of right between Blythe and Coachella there. There's a runway. It used to be an airfield of some kind. Actually, I think it was originally, that was the airfield before it was Chirico Summit where Patton would fly into. That's actually what it was constructed
correct.
for.
I think they've got a sign or something in there that talked about, or they have a Patton museum or something.
There's a whole tank museum, which I've never been to. Every time we're like, oh, we got to stop. It's like, by the time we get there, it's too late in the day.
I know, yeah, me too.
But it was, it's like a great runway. The last thing I ever saw there that I remember, I'm sure I've seen like a little plane there once in a while, but I was driving home one night, and this is way back in the 90s. The MetLife blimp had stopped there because there was this huge storm going on, like in Southern California. Like I blew 2 tires coming home because I was running over stuff that was blowing in the road.
Blowing in there. Wow.
But it was all, I'm coming up the hill and I'm like, what is that glow? And sure enough, it's just, they had it moored down but all the lights on. So like it was a MetLife blimp all lit up, and it was like a beacon, for the weary traveler at Chirico Summit. It was kind of cool. And I'm
sure.
Long before camera photos, so didn't get a picture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can't think of how many times I get gas at that stop right there. And I'm the same way. And actually I have seen a small airplane, not too, last time I was traveling, it's been a couple years, but when I was driving through there, I think I saw a small airplane that actually landed there, but
yeah,
I don't know if it's a public airport or private.
It's private.
I don't think they do.
It's a family that owns it. That's owned it for decades, but that runway, it's still in good shape. I mean, that'd be a great little RC airfield. I mean, been there. There's hotels just down the road in Coachella, like 20, 30 minutes away. It's like, we should talk to them at some point.
That'd be kind of slick. Yeah.
But it's really windy. That's really windy.
It is windy because it's right on the curve there
Yeah.
where the mountains kind of start, and it does get kind of windy. But yeah, it would be kind of cool. There's several locations. As we're traveling, I know Jay, as he was on his trek to where his new location is, that he had mentioned that there were several places where he went by. They would be like, "Oh yeah, it'd be great to go fly there," and it's one of those things that if you have a great field, definitely send us a photo, let us know, give us some details so we can kind of give you a shout out and then look it up and kind of point people your direction. Scott was telling me the other day that he's like, yeah, he goes, we need to use the podcast as one of those where people can, go and you talk about fields and where people can go. Like, hey, in Arizona, where do you go fly? Cause there used to be I know that there was at one point somewhere on the AMA site that you could go look up where that is, but I don't know how current it is.
I think it's still there. Also, RC Groups used to have a really good one.
Yeah, they did.
Update.
Yeah, they do.
Like, we went and found just from that, we went and found the Prescott RC Club, which is like literally on the Embry-Riddle campus. It's a little tiny,
no kidding.
Kind of, it's a good size area to fly from. I don't know if they're even allowed to. This was years ago, but
yeah,
we found it. It was a nice little place to do that. So, but you always, I know there's a place in Quartzsite. They have a nice field in Quartzsite. There's a couple of little places across town, but yeah, it's always nice to find the little hidden gems of RC fields that can go enjoy.
Well, yeah, I know when Jay moved down to Texas the first time, he and I, kind of got together and drove around to find some fields, and they had one field that nobody was using anymore, and it was on a lake, so he had a basically a runway. It was a grass runway. Hadn't been mowed in years, hadn't been upkept. We found it. We hopped the fence and kind of, figured out where it was. But it also, if you walked a little further out, you had a water runway. So, they had this lake that you could fly at. So you could do both, seaplane stuff and land stuff. And some guy came and talked to us, and he was like, "This field hadn't been used for years." And we're like, "Yep, well, it's going to be used now." And I don't know. So,
well, there's another place we drove by over in California. It was like the start of a community.
Mm-hmm,
it looked like like in Back to the Future when he goes to see like where his houses is, his Lion Estates, and it's just the fences. It was like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we could start our own little RC community right here.
This is
Put
true.
an airfield in and a boat.
Yeah,
and
actually,
boats and cars and
my wife asked me at one point, we were looking at talking about building a home and where we're going to go, and she asked me that. She goes, "You want to buy some property and then just build an RC field and kind of build homes around it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be good, but I have a real airplane too, so it'd be better to build a full size and then have RC stuff there as well." So, we've always toyed around with the idea, and I think I used to know a guy. Actually, I know Dave. He owns the First RC School, First RC Flight School. It's up in Ohio or somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, he flies full scale aerobatics. Had flown with me, and he actually gave me some paperwork one time that was a list of all these flying communities that were all RC related.
Yeah.
So they were just homes that had like big RC field in the backyard, and just the runway was small, but they're out there. So that'd be kind of cool. I'll have to look some of those up. Maybe we can mention them on the podcast and see it. So, well, summertime. Yeah, that's true. Maybe they'll invite us out there to go fly. We'll have to do that. Summer is upon us. I think it's officially 117 degrees yesterday or day before. I looked it up. I was just like, wow, it was hot. We went on our little trip. My wife and I celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary this month, although the anniversary is not until later this year. It's in November, but we had the opportunity to go on a trip, and so we did, and it was they had blackout dates, and we got it right in time for the blackout date. So we got there so that we wouldn't be blacked out and have to pay 3 times the price. But I don't even know where it goes. So we had the point of that was, and I totally lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Bigger than a red box, smaller than a house.
Doubt those are there. But I was trying to, talk about getting old. I totally lost my train of thought where I was going with this.
It's all good.
We were talking
about RC fields and vacations and how to get away from.
Yeah, it's just wow, that just totally disappeared. I was like talking and And something came across, something texted or something. I looked up and totally lost the train of thought. But well, anyway, I'll think about it and maybe I'll bring it up on the next episode. But for some reason,
we're talking about summer. Talking about summer events.
Summer events. That's what I was going to. Okay, thank you very much. You brought it back. So now bringing it back around, we're back. We're back. Thanks. Well, welcome back to the studio. We were gone for a week, and when I came back, we got into the car to come home, and I started laughing because I forgot to crack my window. And now the rear view mirror is laying in the floorboard. So it got hot enough that it just melted the epoxy completely off. And I'm like looking around. I'm like, where's my rear view mirror? And I look down and it's like where the accelerator pedal is.
Wow.
And luckily it wasn't broke, but I started laughing. I was like, well, it must be getting summertime because the glue on the back of this. So yeah, it was hot. And I did not get covered parking. So I was not too bright on my part. But, I should have parked in the shade. But anyway, that's where I was going with the story, was that I lost my rear view mirror due to the heat. So definitely crack your windows. You're supposed to have a little crack in your window to let the I've actually seen cars get hot enough here that the windows exploded.
Oh yeah.
It's
crazy.
pretty,
or you'll find that your
different.
windshield has a big crack in it from expanding too much. So
yeah, my first we're getting close on time, but my first arrival when we moved to Phoenix, and this has been many years ago, I didn't know, and I had a black vehicle with a black interior because where I lived before that wasn't an issue. It was a BMW, and so I was at work and I got off work. And when I jumped in the car and turned the car on, the air conditioner kicked on. And immediately the windows fogged because now you have cold air on the inside of the car and hot air on the outside of the car. So it just made this big fog across the window. And having not lived in Phoenix, I reached up with the back of my hand and moved all of the fog off. For those of you not watching, his face just cringed. Yes, whenever I got about the third swipe down, I pulled my hand back and literally had second-degree burns on my knuckles and
whatever hair
fingers.
You had on.
It was gone.
Singed. Oh my gosh!
Gone. And I just was like, I was in shock. I was like, "Ow!" And then all these blisters were just like all over the back of my hand. And so I drove home, and my hand was just throbbing, and I was just like, "What in the world?" And so when I told my wife, and she's like, "You're kidding me." And the next day I showed up, I had a big bandage on my hand. Everybody's like, "What'd you do to your hand?" And I told them, and they started laughing, because some of them were residents for many years. They grew up here, and I had not. So they're like, "Yeah, don't ever touch your window in the middle of the summer. You will definitely pull back a 2nd degree or 3rd degree burn." So I learned my lesson like day one in Phoenix.
Might leave a little on the window too.
Oh yeah. There's definitely some small hairs and skin up there on the window. So definitely be careful out there. And
public service announcement from Park Fire Podcast.
That's exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. So, well, listen, make sure you like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. I know this was kind of a short, just kind of touching base, but we're excited, getting ready to have Jay back on the podcast and hear about his adventures.
Yes.
And they I have a little inside track, so I know that it's been fun, and he's pretty excited about going out there, and I think he's going to be a lot more active with the high-speed internet and being close to town and all that kind of stuff. So there's plenty of stuff going on out there. So anything coming up with your club, or I think we had a meeting or something this morning.
It's too hot.
Yeah, it is kind of hot. But,
our treasurer took all our money and he's in Africa on safari. No, he didn't, but he's in Africa. Our club president is on a whirlwind tour of the Midwest in his motorhome. And,
nice. Yeah.
And I think, Matt, our secretary, I actually took him to the airport as doing Lyft.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Well, can I get you coming home?" I go, "No, it's hard to do that way." And when he comes back, he's all, "Hey, Shannon, our Lyft driver home, she was cuter than you and had a Mercedes." And I'm like, "Well, that's what you're into." But you didn't get my smiling personality,
that's
did you?
That's right. Like, or a free podcast sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yep. So, well, good. Well, we're hoping everybody has the start of the summer, and we're already into June, about to be in July. So the July 4th is right around the corner. And be sure to put your flags out and go fly for us and
celebrate safely.
exactly.
Don't blow your hands off. Don't
Yep.
blow your.
Don't
blow up any planes.
Yeah,
Don't blow up
exactly.
any
Put streamers or something on your planes,
Yeah.
but don't put any
fireworks.
and fireworks or any of that stuff. So, and I think the next episode is actually going to be after the this one's coming out on the 24th, so the next one will be in July, and it'll be after the 4th of July. So, this one here is a public safety announcement for be good celebrating the 4th of July. Be safe.
That's right.
Go out and fly. Have some family time.
So you can come back and
listen.
listen to the Park Fire podcast.
And let us know how it went. You can reach us at the parkfirepodcast@gmail.com or comment on our YouTube page or on our Facebook listeners page. Any of those will do. And I'm Michael from here in Arizona.
And Shannon G in Mesa AZ.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.